Hello there. Um, uh, as much as I dislike the idea of continuing this conversation, I will elaborate further on some possible theories I have about COVID 19. It does appear to be what some might call a treasure trove of endless conspiracy theories. One of my main concerns would be something that's not, to my knowledge, been brought up by any major news outlet or even by any conspiracy, you know, the resource. I had briefly mentioned in one video, I believe, where I thought that what if it were possible that it other animals could be affected by COVID 19, in a sense, jumping the species barrier, which it did. I mean, if you believe the story that it originally came from a bat, and then someone in China ate that bat, and then that spread the world pandemic. I mean, somebody eating a bat on the other side of the world caused this. I honestly think that could be a possibility, but it was a man-made virus for sure. But one must be conscientious of the fact that the immune systems of different animals may be stronger or weaker, and they differ in very minute ways. But in particular, with mammals, they are very similar. I mean, we're completely different animals, but you take bovine, for example, you take pork, for example, swine. Um, you take birds. Birds aren't mammals, but you get where I'm going with this. Or are birds mammals? I don't think they are. Probably should have looked that up first of all. But anyway, my point being is that if it crosses over the species barrier and enters the food supply, that would be very bad for everybody. I mean, that would change our whole way of life. And I mean, this is where you have to talk about espionage and spies and even sabotage. Because the thing is, propaganda, it's not like the Cold War era where it was just stupid, right? Well, it was stupid up until the point where, if they're torturing you, you'll believe whatever they tell you. But what you heard on the mainstream media about the propaganda during the Cold War specifically, but I mean, all propaganda from the television point of view is just stupid. I mean, none of it could possibly be, remotely able to affect anyone's way of thinking. But now, supposing the Chinese came up with because we all know the virus came from there and they did it on purpose. Supposing they came up with a video, and this would be very easy to do. In fact, they don't even have to be chanting your exact name and all your specific details, where you live, what you do, how old you are, your weight, all your information. And it's all neatly packaged into a few minute long video, and they're talking about how they're going to come and get you and how your own government will essentially sacrifice you to these people just to alleviate any negative thoughts. They could put that propaganda in your head, and it won't work on most people, but it will work on some. And people are as a whole are really stupid and not hard to trick at all. So you got a million people, whether it's been dubbed over or not, chanting your name, telling you about all the horrible things they're going to do to you when they get you, and they're going to get you somehow because can you really trust your own your own circle of protection? Can you trust your own government, really? And I think this is a big part of why celebrities have all gone a bit goofy. Like, you may notice that a lot of them have acted very, very peculiar. They come up with decisions that just don't make any rational sense whatsoever. I mean, Colbert is a perfect example of somebody who's completely off his rocker. Why someone like Joe Biden became president, even though he's clearly mentally incapable of being the president, it doesn't really matter. He's just a figurehead. He's got plenty of people to do the thinking for him, but that isn't the point. You need somebody with a bit of cognitive ability to do that job. Even if they're not really making the decisions, they're being told what decisions are the best and going with that. So, you get other ones like, I'll refer to her as Ellen Page because I'm anti-establishment in that regard. Her name's not Elliot, it's Ellen. She was born a woman, she'll always be a woman, and there's nothing she can do about it. Anyway, she got a horrendous looking six-pack. She doesn't have the rest of her body features, do not look masculine at all, but she's claiming that she's a male and, all that sort of stuff. That could easily be photoshopped to look as real as possible. She could be just a total fraud and a phony, and she probably is to some extent. In fact, all celebrities are to some extent. And part of the reason might be just because it's a way to get away from it all. Like any female celebrity will have endless men trying to get with that female celebrity. I mean, it doesn't matter how gross and disgusting they are, like Lady Gaga or Miley Cyrus or whatever, who knows how many men they've been with. Basically, every female celebrity, there's probably a million guys in the world that would like to get it on with her. And it may just be a solution to get out of that problem, so that they can sort of just disappear into the background and not be forgotten, but take a back seat. They made enough money doing their thing. They don't need to go along with mainstream thought. I mean, the television tells us what's mainstream thought and what's right and what's wrong, but often that's just crazy talk. And it doesn't actually apply to the real world. It doesn't make any sense. And somebody, claiming that they're the opposite sex and, actually going through surgery to do all those things, when what is the simple answer? What is it really? Photoshop. I mean, Elliot Page hasn't been in any movies of late that I'm aware of. Again, I should probably look that up, but I haven't. And I think all this is to appease the Chinese Communist Party, because they want to make us look like dang fools is what they do. And, the thing is, you may go, well, I have an iron cast will and nobody's going to tell me what to think or what to do. And that's very true. But if they create little things going on where, you're persuaded, and, that could be through physical stimuli, social stimuli, all these things. And, like, if you got enough people devoted into brainwashing you, I mean, it wouldn't work, but, it might seem like, the way out of a problem, like I was saying. I mean, Ellen Page, I'm using her as an example, by the way. If she has enough guys going, yeah, I'd like to get with that, and then she would have, because she wasn't a bad-looking woman, before she did all that weird stuff, is more than possible that people could be persuaded otherwise. And, whenever I think of a scene where someone's own crew betrays somebody and it's, very bad for them, I think of that scene from Planet Terror, where the guy screwed up and some of the science experiments escaped, and the doctor comes around with like an army, right? Like a few dozen soldiers, and they're like, well, we're gonna take your balls. And his crew knew they couldn't win that, right? So they grab him, and they're all like, well, guess what's happening, basically? We're sacrificing you so to save our own skins. And, guys like Colbert will have an inner circle of people who go, hey, I gotta save my own bacon here. So, rather than him go through the process of having his balls cut off, he cut some sort of a deal where he, sort of turned into kind of a weird person. And, probably part of it is that's the kind of person he wanted to become. Like, a lot of people think he's a good guy, and, he is to some extent, but he definitely went weird. Went very weird. And, there are reasons why people can go weird, and people go, well, I don't feel bad for celebrities, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, dial it down a couple notches. Most people want to win the lottery, right? They want $1 million. Most people, they do. But let's say you dial down the celebrity status, because let's face it, you win $1 million, you're going to get some popularity. It's not going to be good popularity. It's going to be, people you knew who you didn't really like, who are sucking up to you. They're going to be people you never met coming out of the woodwork. All kinds of bad things, So most people like to keep it a secret, but you can't really keep it a secret, because when a organization is handing over $1 million, for example, guess what? People know about it. Maybe not your commoner idiot would know about it if you kept it a secret, but there are people up there who do know. So you can't really keep it a secret. And it's like, as I said, if you dial it down, what if that kind of rubbish starts to trickle down and affect anybody who has, won the lottery, for example? And then what if you take it a notch further and go, well, what if you're just successful? What if you're this? What if you're that? What if you got a job that pays, $30 an hour, and therefore you're king to some people because, they're making minimum wage? They're nobodies, they're losers. So what do? Eat the rich. Eat the rich. That's what a lot of people do. And I really don't have any respect for that, because, you make something of yourself. You don't try and steal somebody else's stuff. You make something of yourself. And how this all ties into COVID is the embarrassment level of, name celebrities like Demi Lovato and things like that turning all kind of like kooky and weird and strange and ugly. This is all part of the Chinese Communist Party's plot, because there are a lot of places in the world where that's just not tolerated, that kind of thought. And on the other hand, what's to stop the Chinese Communist Party from, photoshopping anybody into looking like anything they want them to? And then therefore making the whole of Western society a joke. We could do the same thing for them, but how many Chans are in a phone book? Like, seriously, how are we going to get around that? It's not a weapon of war propaganda that we can use against them. But them making us look like a bunch of chumps is a weapon they can use against us. And so what do? We negotiate. We figure something out where, we try to save as much face as possible. So maybe, they do things like try to get people like Elliot Page to, get a ridiculous six-pack and, really go at it. At trying to be a male when that's just not physically possible. It's not. You're born one or the other. That's my honest opinion. It's not going to be a popular opinion amongst people who either truly believe that garbage or are afraid of letting people know what they think, because a lot of people are afraid of letting people know what they think. And I'm not one of those people. I'll straight up tell you, no, that's rubbish. There's no truth to that at all. And hopefully one day somebody doesn't come along and go, you're going to eat your words or we're going to make you eat your words. And it's like, oh, please don't do that. I don't want you to do that. That would be uncomfortable for me. Ugh. And I'm not in much of a position to argue with that. But yeah, I mean, so this video was not necessarily about COVID-19, although that is one of the weapons of war that they've, unleashed onto the Western Empire. It's also just a video in general about how the Chinese Communist Party is, they're waging, you could almost say total war, except it's winning without firing a single shot. And a lot of people don't see it for what it is. And I'm just pitching some ideas out there. You think what you want, but I happen to think I'm right. I think I do have some interesting points to make, and I think I've made them. So anyway, I'm going to trail this video off because I got an early day tomorrow, and you people have, well, I guess the rest of your night. It isn't that late yet, but it's getting late for me. So anyway, I'm going to bed. So I'll talk to people later. Have a good one.